Absentee voting times have now been set for the upcoming November election. More on that. Plus, the Rotary Club of Jasper has unveiled their guest speaker for next month's leadership luncheon, and Janet Schnell talks about survivors of suicide tonight on Informed. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. Well, the election season is right around the corner, and the Du Bois County Election Board has now set its early voting times for this year. Absentee voting at the Du Bois County Courthouse is set to start on Tuesday, October 7th. Voting will run through that Friday and will then continue Monday through Friday after that point at the courthouse from 8 to 11 a.m. each day, and again from noon till 4 p.m. Voting will close from 11 to noon daily for lunch. There will also be 2 Saturday opportunities for absentee voting at the courthouse. Those will be on October 25th and November 1st. Hours both days will be from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Satellite voting locations are set to be set up at the Huntingburg Event Center and the Ferdinand Community Center this fall. Both locations will be open from 3 till 7 p.m. daily on Wednesday, October 29th and continue through Friday, October 31st. The locations will be open on Saturday, November 1st as well from 8 a.m. to noon. Now, this fall's election will see some adjustment in terms of the number of poll workers you'll see at the polls. County Clerk Bridget Jarboe says there will be fewer judges and inspectors this fall, changes that she says worked out well during May's primary election. Jarboe says with the changes, the goal is still to make things easier for voters.
We're trying to do some things to cut back as far as expenses are going, but we don't want to make it an issue for the voter, and that is the one thing we want to make sure that they are aware of. They are our first concern. We are able to do some things, condensing down more between some of the polling locations where you have multiple precincts in one location.
Now, Jarboe says even with the changes, folks will still sign into the same voting precincts as they always have. She says there will also be the same number of clerks as there were before. Jarboe says there is some concern about voter turnout this upcoming fall, a concern that's been shared by state election officials in recent weeks. Jarboe says the combination of local and state races this year will still make this election a significant one.
People want to call this an off-year election. I don't know how off of a year it is. We do have a lot of local races that are up as well, with the clerk's office, the auditor's office, the recorder's office. So, we do want to encourage everyone to get out and support their candidate.
This year's key state races are for Secretary of State, Treasurer, and Auditor. Jarboe is encouraging folks to get registered in order to vote coming up in November. Folks who want to register or find out if their voter registration is updated can go online to indianavoters.com to do so. The deadline for voter registrations is Monday, October 6th. A pair of officials from Du Bois County Cities and a former county employee have been honored for their work by the Indiana Associations of Cities and Towns. Jasper Street Commissioner Ramey Eckerly has been honored with the 2014 Ivan Breiniger Municipal Management Award. Meanwhile, Huntingburg Clerk Treasurer Thomas Dipple was the recipient of the 2014 Financial Management Award. Former Du Bois County Commissioner Mary Lou Schnell was also among those who were honored. The awards were presented yesterday during the President's reception at IAC's annual conference in Fort Wayne. Eckerly has worked for the Jasper Street Department for 14 years and previously spent time as manager of the Huntingburg Airport and on the Jasper City Council. In a news release, Jasper Mayor Terry Seitz noted the city is consistently complimented for its appearance by both residents and visitors. He says that's due in large measure to the work that Eckerly has done. Meanwhile, Dipple is now serving his 4th term as Huntingburg's chief financial officer. Huntingburg Mayor Denny Spenner says the city has a long history of being fiscally responsible, a history he says can be attributed at least in part to Dipple's work. Dipple is active in many church and community organizations. These include past roles as president of the Optimist Club and officer for the Huntingburg Young Men Institute. The Rotary Club of Jasper will be featuring a special guest at its upcoming leadership luncheon. State Superintendent of Public Instruction Glenda Ritz will be the luncheon's keynote speaker. This year's luncheon is set for Thursday, October 16th from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now, Ritz was elected back in 2012, defeating then-incumbent Tony Bennett. Raths has been in education since 1978 and previously worked as a library media specialist for Indianapolis-based Crooked Creek Elementary School for many years. Raths is also a national board certified teacher. She has 2 master's degrees. She's also licensed to teach at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. Areas of Raths' teaching include special education, general education, and library science. Now, the cost to attend the luncheon is $25. The cost does include a lunch buffet. Seating is limited, so folks are being encouraged to pay in advance in order to get their seating faster. You must RSVP by October 11th in order to attend. To register or for more information, you can contact Jim McFall by emailing jmcfall@vinu.edu. Finally this evening, the Indiana Department of Natural Resources says the renovation of West Boggs Lake should bring in more anglers and money to the community. The DNR says the renovation of the lake north of Lagodi will not only restore fishing conditions, it's also expected to revive the lake's contributions to the local economy. Now, West Boggs Lake was once a premier bluegill and bass fishing lake, drawing anglers from 81 Indiana counties, plus the surrounding states of Kentucky, Michigan, and Ohio. Back in 1999, a DNR survey found that anglers spent an estimated $1.1 million in the community. However, increases in populations of undesirable fish in the lake have driven those numbers down to $326,000 annually in recent years. Recreational boating on the lake dropped 11% from 2004 through 2010, while angler visits dropped by 63% in that same time frame. The fisheries renovation at West Boggs is set to start later this month with the removal of adult bass and catfish from the lake. Those fish will later be returned. Trained DNR staff will then apply rotenone, which is a substance aimed at detoxifying the environment with virtually no effect on mammals and birds. The lake will then be stocked with hatchery-raised game fish, along with the fish that were salvaged from the lake. A similar renovation was done at West Boggs in 1994. Angler visits to the lake increased by 71% annually after that renovation. All right, coming up after the break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform with Janet Schnell. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.